When we remember a time, we remember moments. A kaleidoscope of the sights, the sounds, the emotions that remind us of the way we were. Our world. It's about time.
Tonight, Cover Stories, May 1960. Here are Linda Ellerby and Ray Gandolf.
For the next hour, think of your television set as a time machine.
Tonight, our newsstand is chock full of cover stories and a cover-up.
Welcome to 18 Days in May and 1 Day in April, 1960. A cover story can be a big story or a big lie. What's a big story? In headline form, Catholic candidate from Camelot captures crowd. Recognized royal from Rock returns respectable. Practical princess from Palace weds worker. And this one, Russia says America's spying, and Ike says Nikita's lying. What's a big lie? Russia says America's spying, and Ike says Nikita's lying.
In May of 1960, Life magazine worried a lot about the national purpose. It hired people like Adlai Stevenson and Billy Graham and Walter Lippmann to try to figure out if we had a national purpose, and if so, what it was. The poet Archibald MacLeish said we had more stuff in our kitchens and garages than Louis XIV had in Versailles, and still we were lacking something intangible, something moral. So far as the tangibles were concerned, though, we were doing just fine that spring.
You are about to know the thrill of seeing that which has never been seen before. You're about to enter a beautiful, exciting, wonderful new world. The world of 1960.
And what a wonderful world it will be. America in the 60s, what could go wrong? TV and technology will give us what we need, and if there's a Ford in every future, one day it will fly.
Off into space. Man, that takes real teamwork. And here's a team of junior spacemen with an out-of-this-world breakfast.
We'll get there yet. A little vim and vigor, that's all it takes. Maybe some Cheerios. We know about those things. But there are many, many things we don't know about.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology. Don't know much about a science book. Don't know much about the French I took. But I do know that I love you. And I know that if you love me too, what a wonderful world this would be.
Yes, it would. But it turns out the 50s and the Cold War have one more act to play. And this will be a cover story everywhere. Saturday, April 30th. New Yorkers open the morning paper to find headlines about a Russian spy ship spotted off the coast of Long Island. Well, what do you expect from a bunch of communists? The White House. President Eisenhower's advisors know a secret that is not in the papers. In fact, the secret is in the sky. And it is the most superb spy plane of them all. And it's American. It's called the U-2. For 4 years, this high-flying spy has monitored Soviet industry and defense from 14 miles above the Soviet Union. And what the U-2 knows, only the White House and the CIA find out. The president has approved every mission. His son, John, he was an aide, and he explains.
The scheme was that Deb would approve 1 week in which to fly. And then once the week was over, they'd come in for another approval.
In Sirlik, Turkey, a U-2 that was based here, concealed here really, has been ordered to fly to Pakistan and wait for further orders. They come just before dawn. The secret flight will cover 3,800 miles in 9 hours. Taking off from Pakistan, landing in Norway, and in between, cutting straight across and above the Soviet Union. Sunday morning, May Day in Red Square. Back in the USSR and in communist countries everywhere, the 1st of May is the 4th of July, without the white and blue. But with firecrackers, real ones. Khrushchev may not be thinking about firecrackers or parades. Russian radar is tracking another one of those American spy planes. What do you expect from a bunch of imperialists? The plane's altitude, 70,000 feet above the Soviet Union. The pilot's name, Francis Gary Powers. And this is no Sunday stroll he's taking. As he would say 10 years later, the first half hour over Russia was always the worst.
After that length of time, nothing happens. You sort of relax and start trying to imagine you're flying over the United States or somewhere to keep your mind off of what's down below.
What keeps his mind off the city of Sverdlovsk down below is an explosion up above, where he is.
I didn't see what hit me, but I assume it was a SAM-2 missile because it was something external of the aircraft. It was not in the aircraft itself. A second or so later, the plane went out of control, nosed over, and both wings came off, I'm sure.
The CIA had explained what to do if this happened, but Gary Powers didn't do that. And while the plane went one way, the pilot went another, dropping in unannounced on some Soviet farmers.
Well, then one of them took a pistol that I had strapped to the parachute, and they sort of caught me by the arms, and they thought they had something, which I think they did.
They surely did. Khrushchev is still presiding in Red Square. In the crowd, U.S. Ambassador Llewellyn Thompson and his wife, Jane.
Then, all of a sudden, this flurry of activity, which we saw because the stairwell came down on the diplomatic side, and they were all running in and out behind the Kremlin wall and up and down with messages, boom, boom, boom.
So Khrushchev gets the news on May Day, but sits on it for nearly a week. All that's known in Washington is that a U-2 is overdue at its destination in Norway. The man in charge of the U-2 program, Deputy CIA Director Richard Bissell.
I remember all too vividly. I had come back from being away for a day. I came back on a Sunday afternoon. I immediately had a call from the office and had to go down there. And I was told that Powers had been, his flight had not arrived, and he was presumably down and lost.
President Eisenhower gets the news from his staff secretary, General Andrew Goodpaster.
He simply took it and said, well, he would want to be kept informed. I think we left it at that. I believe I told him the winds may blow, and he said, well, we've always known that. Neither he nor I, or anyone, I guess, thought to ask the question, could the pilot have survived?
The next day, Goodpaster and Eisenhower discussed something that the CIA director had once said about U-2 pilots.
Allen Dulles absolutely assured us that the man was well paid. He knew what the risks were, that if anything would transpire that would indicate his being captured, the plane would self-destruct. You can't ask somebody to shoot himself or shoot himself in the head. No, the plane would self-destruct.
Confident that Powers has not survived, the president approves an old CIA cover story, read that lie, which says that a weather plane out of Turkey is missing. Tuesday, May 3rd. The cover story, which has been leaked by Washington, makes its way to the United Press International newsroom in New York and is put out on the wires. On the afternoon of the 3rd, Eisenhower is reviewing the troops and attending military maneuvers at Fort Benning, Georgia. If we're worried about the Soviets outstripping us, you wouldn't know it from this, nor from a song in the top 10 extolling our exploits in World War II.
We found that German battleship for making such a fuss. We had to sink the Bismarck cause the world depends on us.
We hit the deck a-running and we spun those guns around. Yeah, we found that
Vanity Bismarck and we cut her down.